Chapter 51. We parked in a non-accessible parking space on the edge of the lot and unloaded. I had hoped it was far enough away from the entrance that we wouldn't draw attention. Natalie opened the side door, and I helped her move the wheelchair down the ramp and onto the ground. "Do I need to get back in that?" asked Alex. "Just for a little bit," I said. "We need to look like we're bringing you to the hospital as a patient." I put on a face mask and pinched it tight around my nose. "Everyone ready?" My crew nodded back at me, and then we headed toward the hospital. Alex controlled his wheelchair with the joystick, while Aaron walked alongside him. The two talked easily as if they were old friends. Natalie hung back with me and watched their interaction. Do you know how many times I'd wished Alex could have these types of friendships? For other kids to see him as one of them and not something unusual to stare at? I don't, but I can imagine that had to be hard to watch as a parent. Kids can be mean. They can be, but most are just curious. It's the adults that are the most rude. I'm going to share our story with anyone who will listen and try to bring attention to it. If we all change our world, we can change the whole world. People are longing for positivity, to have something to believe in, and we're about to give it to them. Aaron held the door open for Alex, who drove his chair into the hospital lobby. "What now, Dad?" "It's time for you and me to find a quiet place to make our video. Natalie and Alex will look for Dr. Albrecht in the cafeteria and make sure we have the helpers that we need. Access to some of these floors can be tricky. Natalie, I'll send you a text when we're done. Is everyone ready?" My trio of helpers nodded in response, even though their faces showed a mix of apprehension and excitement. I know what they're feeling. Except they'd probably walk out of this hospital at the end. Hans Albrecht. The lunch rush hadn't arrived yet, leaving the cafeteria at Pearson Hospital mostly empty. A few families huddled together over their late breakfast at random places in the vast room. Several doctors in white coats stood near a small stage, each holding a cup of coffee. A guitar rested on a stand next to a small amplifier and microphone. A sign promised the performer would return today at noon. My friends smiled when they saw me. "Greetings. Thank you all for being here. I can't thank you enough." Regina Elliott answered first. "Of course we'd be here, Hans. You can't dangle something like this in front of us and expect us not to show up." "I'm still nervous. I know interventional radiology is a busy service, and it's a lot to ask to make some room at the last minute." I looked around the group and addressed each person. "And pediatric surgery, nephrology, oncology, and—" I paused, staring at the last person with a blank stare. "Emergency medicine, Hans, you know that." I erupted in laughter after Randy spoke. "Of course I do. I just had to needle you one more time. I am a surgeon after all." "Used to be a surgeon. Didn't your hospital revoke your privileges?" he asked. "Yes, they did. But they didn't make me, and they will not break me. I'm still a surgeon. Just need to find a different place to practice." "We'd be happy to have you here if you don't mind using tiny scalpels," said my pediatric surgery friend. "What is it you need us to do today?" I clapped my hands and then grabbed a shoulder of my two closest friends. "You've heard of Dr. Cameron Turner, right?" "The guy making us look bad with his miracle cures?" asked Randy. "Exactly." "Is that really happening? It's not just an internet rumor?" "It's absolutely happening. I've seen it with my own eyes. I operated on him after his assault and watched his many mortal wounds resolve almost overnight. I've talked to staff who witnessed him heal patients in the ER. It's real. And you're about to be a part of it." "It doesn't sound like he needs a lot of help if God's on his side," said Regina. "What role do we have in the plan?" "Anywhere he goes, a mob of people flock to him. They stuff the hospital and make it unusable. Plus, there's a warrant out for his arrest. Once it gets out that he's here, it's going to get intense. They need to help him navigate the masses and avoid the police. He wants to heal every child in this building." "We have hundreds of inpatients, and plenty more here for outpatient procedures," said Randy. "He's aware, and that's part of what makes it more difficult. Every time he uses his gift, he ages another month. As it gets more chaotic, he'll likely get slower." Well, that adds a layer of complexity, so we'll need to think about how to cover the hospital efficiently. I nodded. Precisely. Randy shook his head. I'm afraid I can't help you. All I know is how to get from the ER to the cafeteria. Typical ER doctor lost in his own hospital, I said. That's why nurses run to codes with me. I'd never find the place in time. But you're a pro at making order out of chaos, right? That I can do. Good. This is the largest room in the hospital, right? I think we should make it the last stand. You'll be in charge of organizing everyone here. Perfect. But do I have time to grab our charge nurse and a triage nurse? I'll probably need another Diet Coke as well. I think so. Grab them and come back here. My oncologist friend couldn't contain his eagerness any longer. So where's he at? When do we get started? We're to wait here for his signal. He's going to broadcast a message on the internet, and then off we go. Can we tell people to line up yet? The nephrologist pointed to a kid in an electric wheelchair, rolling into the cafeteria in front of his mother. Looks like he could use some healing. Natalie, over here. I waved my arm in the air to draw her attention, and then turned back to my friends. Too late. Turner healed him this morning on the way in. You're looking at a former cerebral palsy patient. Alex parked the chair against the wall and hopped up onto his feet. Mom, can I get some food? I'm starving. Natalie tapped him on the back and hurried him into the food service area. Yes, but let's hurry. We need to be ready soon. When they'd walked out of earshot, my friends all spoke at once. They couldn't believe what they'd seen, and the energy in their voices ramped up significantly. It was time to change some lives.